I'm joined by University of Central Oklahoma free safety Tre'Vaughn Craig. Tre'Vaughn, thank you for taking time to come on this afternoon and talk to me. Could you start by telling the viewers and listeners out there a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, most definitely. First of all, I appreciate you for having me on. Like you said, my name is Tre'Vaughn Craig. I currently play free safety. Um, I'm originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Came out to UCO in 2019. Walked on. Member of the football team. Wrestling as well. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much the basis of what I got going on. How I got to Oklahoma.
Now you mentioned that you're from Wisconsin. Now I got to admit I'm not privy on what the high school football scene is like up in Wisconsin, other than they produce linemen and running backs. So for
Right.
those of us who might not know, what is the high school football scene like up there in your home state of Wisconsin?
It's a little different now. I feel like we're getting a little more recognition, a little more attention to the state as a whole. When I graduated in 2016. So when I was in high school, we really didn't have too many recruits coming through. We didn't do camps. So my senior year was the first time I had ever heard of 7-on-7. Joined the team then. So um, when I was going through the recruiting process, it was a lot of uh, getting together my own film and sending it out to coaches myself. Coaches wasn't really involved in helping us push that out and things like that. It seems like it's getting a little bit better now, but I mean, I've been out here for the last 4 years, so I'm not really too sure what's going on with the high school scene right now.
And what was that process like, kind of having to do that all by yourself as far as getting your tape and pushing that out to schools?
Yeah, it's difficult because a lot of times it is sports is a business just like everything else. Coaches want recommendations from other coaches or people to put in a good word for you. So it's hard to get them to communicate with you straight from a coach to athlete or prospective athlete or however you want to word it. So it was difficult. I had to Google a lot of emails, send out my film, write long letters to coaches and schools and things like that. It was really just me and my mom that put everything together. So it was a long process. It was difficult, but we got it done.
And so on the field, I know you played offense and defense. Now I've asked guys that play both ways. Which do you prefer now? Do you prefer scoring the touchdowns or do you prefer stopping the touchdowns?
Defense all the way, all the way.
So what is it about defense that you enjoy more than offense?
Physicality. That's probably the thing I enjoy the most is being able to hit people, run as fast as I can. Um, but I don't know. I like playing defensive back. Is a highly skilled position. You have to be technical with everything you do. You're going backwards as somebody's running full speed at you. So it's a lot to me personally. I feel like it's a lot more challenging than running routes is. Not to say that that's not difficult, but I just enjoy the challenge of not knowing where somebody's going and seeing if I can be able to cover them and stop them from doing what they're doing, as well as being physical on top of that.
Well, because I asked Jonathan Mosley this because he also played some receiver at Carl Albert. Like, does that knowledge help you on the defensive end when you're covering? You can kind of think maybe this is where they're going because you have an idea from your days of playing offense.
Me personally, no, it don't help at all. um, Carl Albert's a little bit better program than where I came from. So my offense, I was a running back in high school. So my offensive experience is we ran two wings with a pistol, and I was one of the wing backs. So I'm running side to side and running wherever I feel like going. It wasn't really any concepts that was taught to me to where I would have a better understanding of it. So now everything I know about football and routes and stuff came from defensive knowledge and just experience going against it.
Yeah, because I saw that I found your highlights from it. I saw that I'm like, this is a unique setup they got going because it was like it almost seemed like you were just running like a jet sweep every single
Every,
highlight.
every time.
Now, when you look back on your high school football career, I guess what kind of stands out to you the most?
In terms of what, just about my career, what do I notice the most?
Just overall, it could be about your career. It could be about your um, most memorable game. It could be about just your overall experience. But just like in the grand scheme of things, what kind of sticks out to you the most?
How much fun I had. Um, Defensively, I kind of was. I didn't start on varsity until my junior year, and then I had to build up. We got new coaches my senior year, so I had to rebuild everything that I had worked towards in a new scheme with coaches. So getting to my senior year, playing on defense and everything, they kind of I built up that trust with my coach, and I was able to call my side of the field. Like I would play um, away from our sideline, and I would make the calls and checks for us on that side, and then my coach would call the stuff on the other side towards him. So I kind of like I enjoyed playing the game and having the freedom and my coach's trust that they would allow me to, conduct the defense and go make plays and things like that. So that was definitely probably one of the better memories I have is just being able to be kind of that field general.
Now you were also a prolific wrestler. You won over 100 matches. Now where did that love of wrestling come from?
Where did that? Well, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Love of wrestling come from?
One more time. It cut out.
Love of wrestling?
Okay. This is a funny story. I actually did not want to wrestle at all, in middle school, because just like every other teenage boy, I didn't want to wear the extra tight clothes, get out there in front of the school, and be grabbing on people and stuff. So I didn't want to do it, and I had two of my friends from middle school that convinced me to come out for the team, and I practiced and everything like that. And my first year competing was in 8th grade, and I ended up going, what was it, like 10-2 in the regular season, 29-9 overall for the year. So it was something I just was naturally good at. So obviously, if you're good at something like that, and you don't have to put too much effort into being successful, you're gonna start falling in love with it and seeing how far you can go and things you can do. So from that point, I just got into camps, practices, whatever I could do, tournaments, going all over and competing all year round, basically. And it just continued, and I just carried on and never stopped.
Now I talked to Peyton Scott because Peyton wrestled in high school, and
Yeah.
he mentioned how like it was different. Like he mentioned one time he had to like lose like 20 pounds in like 3-4 days. So
Yeah.
like how do you kind of manage that different like different style of sport? Because it's almost two different things.
Yeah. It's really just about learning your body and what works for you. Cause like what works for Peyton isn't gonna work for me. And what works for me is not gonna work for him. It's just you gotta know how you can lose and gain weight in certain periods of time and hold on to your nutrition and stuff like that and make sure that your body has everything it needs to be able to function. So um, for me personally, I've always done wrestling season right after football, like all through middle school and high school. I never had time to adjust to anything. So it was kind of like I was starting to regulate my meals and weight and things like that towards the end of our season. And then as soon as it was done the next week, I was right back at practice. So it's kind of just changing. I just changed my eating habits, eat a little bit healthier, smaller portions. Nothing real crazy, just work out and it'll come off.
And so you finished both your high school football and wrestling career. You then decided to go to Wisconsin Parkside. So now, what was it about Wisconsin Parkside that, first of all, made you choose that you wanted to wrestle over football at that time, and then why specifically wrestle at Wisconsin Parkside?
Yeah. So like I said, recruiting wasn't really heavy at my high school. So I had a few small offers, a couple of D1 preferred walk-ons, half scholarships, things like that. And essentially my grades weren't very good coming out of high school. So that was a big problem and limited where I could go. And by the end of my senior year, everything that I had been offered was pulled because of my grades. Other than Wisconsin Parkside, they left. They kind of brought me in as a preferred walk-on, I guess you could say. They wanted me to do a semester, make sure I could keep my grades up, be eligible, and then they give me my scholarship after that. So it wasn't. It was always difficult to pick between whether I wanted to wrestle or play football if I had to only choose one. But at the time when I was coming out of high school, I really didn't have any options to play football, and JUCO wasn't really a big thing. I didn't know anything about it coming out of high school. We don't really hear about that kind of stuff where I'm from, so I didn't understand that was a good option at the time as well. So I was too prideful. I thought it was just like saying you weren't no good or anything like that. So I just said I'll go to the D2 school that's offering me a chance to earn my scholarship after a semester. And it just so happened that they don't have a football team. So the first 2 years, I just decided to wrestle.
And looking back now, kind of knowing what you know about JUCO, what would you have taken that JUCO route and the kind of uncertainty of like if you don't succeed, you're kind of back to where you are, or would you still have taken your path and gone to Wisconsin Parkside?
Yeah, I don't think I would have changed anything, honestly. I think maybe if you would have asked my younger self and explained everything that I know now, maybe I would have made a different decision. Maybe not. I'm not sure. But looking back on the way things have unfolded now, I feel like my story is pretty unique, and you don't see many people change sports or even schools and compete in multiple sports and have fairly decent success in both. So I wouldn't change the way I did it.
Now you redshirted your first year there. Now I imagine that had to be weird going from here you are having great success as a wrestler. Now you're not even being able to get in any actual matches. So what was that year like for you, and what would you say was the biggest takeaway from your redshirt season?
Yeah, that year was tough. I mean, it's wrestling's a little bit different than football. I feel like in football you can come in as a freshman and you can learn a lot. That redshirt year for any sport helps you out, just adjust to the pace and level of play that you're going to be competing at. But wrestling is a purely physical sport. So I'm freshly 18 coming into my freshman year, and we've got guys on our team that are in their early mid 20s and things like that. It's just a different level of physicality, different level of strength that's hard to adjust to. So my freshman year, we had a tough team, and I was in there getting beat on every day. It was not easy. We got his name's Nick Becker. He was our 174 pounder, and he was undefeated in Division II, and I think he had two-time national champ. I think that it was 89-0. That was one of my practice partners every day. So I'm in there getting tore up. We had our 65 was a national runner-up the year before I got there. Our new 65 was ranked in the top 10. Our lineup was crazy, and I'm brand new. I just came from high school beating up on people, so I'm like, yeah, I can hang with them. I did for a little bit, but I needed that year to really humble myself and see that at this level, even in Division II, is really no joke.
And did that level of talent, did it kind of catch you off guard at first? Like, did you think it being Division II, you'd be able to kind of come in there and not necessarily dominate, but kind of have that early success?
No, I wouldn't say that necessarily. With wrestling specifically, the D1, D2, D3 really doesn't matter. A lot of that stuff is just opportunities and who you know and where you can get in that. I trained with Ben Askren in high school. I'm sure if you heard anything about wrestling, you know about Ben. So we had guys from all levels come in there and train with us in high school and stuff. So it wasn't really like the talent level wasn't a shock to me. I knew what I was getting into. It was really just the strength difference that took me by surprise, because I never really was the strongest at all, but I could always hang in there, and I was never one to get overwhelmed or overpowered by anybody. So going into that and not really not being able to get up, being flat, just not able to do anything, that was probably the biggest shock for me, was the strength difference.
And you mentioned some of the guys that you practice with. Now, what what was kind of the biggest thing you were able to learn from those guys?
Styles, different moves, techniques. That's the thing that you pick up on when you're competing against people in the practice room. You guys are trying new things, pulling out your best stuff. I mean, you get comfortable. You practice with the same people all the time, so you start to understand each other's styles and timings and things like that, and what they're gonna do, what they're looking for. So you start doing new stuff. And maybe you seen something one of your teammates did or practice partners did, and you try that out. And it was really just learning, feeding off of each other was, probably the thing I remember most about that.
And then 2018, 19, you finally got in some action. So what was that first collegiate wrestling match like for you?
Oh, man. Let me think. I don't even remember what my first match or tournament was or anything like that. I know I won, though. I know that. But I was happy about that one. I don't remember who it was against or where we were at, but I know I didn't lose. So I had an okay redshirt freshman year. I only competed for the first semester. Our starter had tore his LCL the previous semester, so I was filling in, and yeah, I mean it was cool. It was nice to get to compete again. See that I could compete with guys that I wouldn't have been able to the year before. But yeah, other than that, I really don't remember too much about the specifics.
Now, at some point after that, you decide to transfer. Now, what went into that choice to decide to transfer?
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing organized football since I was 8 years old, so it's been a part of my life since I can remember, and competing, and I just love to compete, and I watch football a lot, NFL, college, anything that I can watch. So I'm watching these college games and NFL games, and I'm like just reminiscing about my high school days. I mean, it wasn't at that time. It wasn't that long ago. It was a year or two prior. So I'm like, man, like I'll be competing right now, and I'd look at some of these guys that I went to high school with that are or competed against in high school that went places or guys on TV, and I'm just thinking like, man, like I can do that. I can play at this level or compete with y'all. So it was really just like I started to miss it. I was watching it so much, and it just wasn't. It was like a void I had, and I just felt like I needed to get back to that. So it kind of had been on my mind, like my true freshman year going in was that I wanted to play somewhere. I just didn't know when or how I was going to be able to do that.
So then, how now? Because obviously Wisconsin's a long way away from Edmond. So
Yeah.
how then were you kind of able to get in contact with UCO and then kind of decide that UCO is where you wanted to continue your wrestling and your football career?
Yeah. So actually, when I decided to transfer from Parkside, I had gave up football to wrestle, and I just missed football way too much. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and give up wrestling and go back and just play football. So I entered the transfer portal after my redshirt freshman year, and I wanted to get I mean, just like everybody that play sports, their goal and dream is to go D1. I wanted to play Division I football. So when I was transferring, I got into schools like Texas Tech, Iowa State, South Dakota, a couple other schools that I had applied to. It really don't mean that. I just got in to know that I could get accepted. And I had talked to University of South Dakota. I had some high school teammates that played on that team. I actually did all my paperwork, financial aid, and everything. I was set to get enrolled there, and then they told me I couldn't live in the dorms because I was technically an upperclassman, and I couldn't afford to live off campus. So that's where I was originally gonna go. And then my aunt and uncle live in Norman, excuse me, and they had just came to visit and heard about the situation and everything, and said I could come stay with them until I figured out where I wanted to go. So I did that, lived in Norman for a couple months, looked at schools around the area. We looked at UCO, NSU, OBU, Pitt State, schools around this area. And then eventually I just decided on I needed to get back in school if I wanted to play anywhere. So I went up to UCO, talked to Coach Bobek, and asked him about walk-on tryouts and everything. Got enrolled. They set me a tryout date, and then I tried out. And then I wasn't gonna wrestle at UCO either, but Coach Stidley, our head coach, he happened to be walking in the office when I was sitting down with Reggie doing our financial stuff and talking about academics and how everything was gonna go with the process. He introduced me to him. He told me to come practice, and then I showed up at practice, and I decided I missed that too. So I told him I joined the team.
Now, when you moved from Wisconsin to Oklahoma, and that because what was it? Was it a major adjustment for you? Like what was that kind of adjustment period like going to a new state and kind of a new region, so to speak?
Yeah, no, it wasn't. I mean, it's definitely different. I wouldn't say it was a. I didn't look at it as a huge adjustment. I looked at it as I was going after something that I wanted to do in my life. So it wasn't like I was taken back by anything necessarily. I feel like I handle change pretty well. So we just came. I mean, I came out here and like the next week I had got into some tech school looking for jobs and stuff, and just kind of let life roll and went with the flow. So it wasn't really anything that was too much of a shock, other than the heat. I'm still not used to that. But we was out there today, conditioning. It's 100 degrees. I'm hurting, but other than that, everything.
Huh? Now, are the winters here better though than it is in Wisconsin?
Honestly, no, it's not. Because, and now look, I'm gonna tell you why. Here, well, first of all, everybody know about the black ice. I didn't know what that was. We don't have black ice. It snows a lot. It's slushy up there. It's cold. It's all type of stuff. But we don't have black ice. We don't have ice storms. We don't have the wind here is crazy. That's what makes it worse. I hate the wind. I would much rather be in the winter back home than out here.
All right, now you mentioned that you had to try out. So like, what was that tryout workout like with UCL football?
Yeah, they kind of took us through position drills. They wanted to see how I know specifically since was trying out to be a DB, I had to do some backpedaling stuff, change of direction, flipping my hips, opening and running, things like that. And that's really, it wasn't that long. It was maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes. They just ran us through a couple drills and took down our information and decided to call the ones that they chose to be on the team. And it was a pretty easy process. They just said, show up this time on this day. We did the workout, and that was it.
And after the workout, did you feel like you had showed them enough to where you would be one of those that got the call?
Yeah, I mean, I never doubted that I was good enough or anything like that. I wasn't worried about making the team. It was never, I never doubted my skill. It was, do they have the room for me? Because, we are limited to who we can play and stuff like that. And if a position group is filled up, like we don't need 30 DBs or whatever the case may be. And that's what they told me coming in, was that they had a lot of DBs and they weren't sure if they were going to be picking any more up. So I wasn't concerned about if I worked out good enough or not, because I had been working out and training for that and doing all the stuff that they ran me through for the last like 4 or 5 months. I was doing all that every day. So I knew my workout was going to be good. I just didn't know if they were going to have room on the team for me. And after the workout, they actually didn't call me. I didn't hear from them for like 2 weeks. I didn't think I made the team. And then I was in class one day and I got a phone call. And, I'm goofy, so I answer everybody that called me because I'm going to mess with them if I don't know who it is. So I answered the phone, and it was Coach Pickett. That was our DC at the time. He was the one that was running the DB tryout. So he called me, and he was like, "Is this Tre'Vaughn?" I'm like, "Yeah, who is this?" He tells me. He was like, "We've been trying to call you, but we didn't know. We misplaced your paperwork or whatever. We didn't know which number was yours." Stuff like that. So I found out like 2 weeks later, and I was supposed to, that they wanted me to be on the team.
And when you got that call, just like what were you feeling? What were your emotions in that moment?
Man, just happiness, like feeling like relief. I couldn't stop smiling. I had to call my mom. I didn't even go back to class. I left. I called my mom. I said, "Mom, I made the team." Just didn't go back to class. They probably wouldn't let me come if I told them that one, but it is what it is.
And so that first padded practice when you put the helmet, you put the shoulder pads back on for the first time since high school.
Mm-hmm.
What were your feelings at that point? Were you kind of nervous? Did it feel natural to you? What were you feeling?
No, not at all. Honestly, I feel like I'm built for situations like that. Like even through my high school career, like I had a lot of success athletically in high school, but even on my own team or in the state or wherever I was at every level, there's always been some bit of doubt, or I had to prove myself athletically to somebody, whether it's my coaches or people I'm competing against. They kind of always downplay what I could do. So I've been playing and competing with a chip on my shoulder ever since I was little. Um, so it was never nervousness because in my head, I belonged. I could have played with them when I was 17, 18 years old, the way I'm thinking. So I just was ready to show what I could do. And that was it. Learn as much as I could and show what I can do.
And you went on to play in 9 games. Now I have to. That's like for a guy that hadn't played football in a few years. You went from a tryout, and you're playing in 9 games. Like, did it ever hit you that like that's not necessarily normal for most people that came through your situation?
Uh, no, not necessarily. I mean, I know that it's not normal, but it was never anything that crossed my mind because I always just thought like I said before, in my head, I belonged there the whole time, so I wasn't looking at it as like um I was a walk on and wasn't expected to play or even compete or anything like that. In my head, the whole time, I was just walking on because they had never heard of me yet. They didn't get the chance to see what I could do because I feel like if they recruited where I was from, I mean, I made all state in high school. My stats were pretty crazy, so I feel like they could have picked me up right out of high school anyway. So it wasn't like um, I just looked at it like I'm not supposed to be doing this, or not many people do this. It was just like for me personally, I should have been doing this the whole time. I feel like I should have played in more than 9 games too. That's the crazy part.
That first game, that first tackle. Just talk me through that. What was there nervousness? Was it just more excited? Like what was that experience like for you?
Man, it was crazy. Pure adrenaline. Like it was just walking out on the field for the first time since high school. Because like I said, my senior year was 2016. The first time I touched the field was 2019. So I hadn't seen no crowds. I hadn't seen the field. I hadn't put a uniform on in so long. I couldn't do nothing but just look around and just like it just felt right to me. And then getting that first, like, I mean, you probably hear everybody say that tackle people when you get that first contact. It's like, oh yeah, now I'm ready to go. So it was kind of like that for me. Like I got my first little hit in and got my tackle. Now I was like, oh yeah, I belong here. I could do something special.
And if I recall correctly, now you were a big part of that special teams unit. Now talking to your current DB coach Adam McGuire, his first I guess think few seasons in college, he was mainly a special teamer. So like that's kind of a role that some look down on, but you seem to take a lot of pride in that. So how were you able to kind of like maybe put ego aside a little bit and excel in that role that you were given?
Yeah. Like I said, everything in this game is opportunity. When I got here, we had O'Shea Harris and Jakari Hunt. O'Shea was an All-American and Jakari All-Conference. Both of them solid technique, big, fast, strong, all that. And they had been there, I think, 3, 4 years prior to that. So um, I really didn't have a choice. Like you said, even if I don't look at myself as like a walk on and things like that, that's how the coaches view it. Like, we don't know you, like we just picked you up because your workout looked okay. We got to see what you can do. But them, like, they're established in the program, things like that, and they know they can play. So it wasn't really. I really didn't have an option. My only way to get on the field and be able to travel and get any playing time was to be on special teams, because you can't just come in and take a guy like that spot. Um, I hadn't proved anything, so that was kind of I use special teams kind of to show, like, no matter where you put me at on the field or when you put me out there, I'm gonna go compete and I'm gonna try to make something happen. And to this day, I still tell the coaches to put me on everything except kick return. Do not put me on kick return. Everything else, I love it. I'll go.
Oh yeah, that what is it about kick return that you're just like, nah, I'm good?
Man, because I know how I am on kickoff. I'm running straight down and you backpedaling. I'm gonna put my face in your chest. I'm gonna try to run you over. I don't want to block that. I'm not scared of nothing like that. But you're gonna end up. I played kick return the last 2 years. You're gonna have a headache after the game.
I mean, yeah, but like, there's that slim chance though. If they want to do like a pooch kick, a sky kick, it lands to you. You can run, show your moves. I mean, so
yeah.
like that opportunity doesn't outweigh the other parts that you don't like about it.
Hell no. I mean, if the ball get in my hands, I'm gonna try to make something happen. But the way I was playing, where they had me lined up, I was playing our guard position. That's right on the front two lines, kind of like I'm right up there with the big boys. The only time I'm getting the kick is if they kick it straight to me on like the onside or something. So I'm good. But if coach them hear this, I didn't say that. I want to play everything.
I have to ask because most guys coming off a successful season in which you did start necessarily isn't asking to play special teams. So like, why are you, I guess, still wanting to play special teams at this point in your career?
Because I don't want to come off the field. Like, it's that simple. I enjoy playing the game. I enjoy competing. I enjoy being out there, running around. I got ADHD. I got energy I need to get off. I can't sit up in the house all day. So throw me out there. Might as well run me around for a couple hours. Let me hit some people.
Now, you mentioned when you first got there, you were sitting behind Jakari and O'Shea. So, what was it like able to learn from those guys? Because obviously they were, extremely good players. And what would you say is the biggest thing that you learned from them?
Yeah, I'll say that I had two major takeaways from each guy that to the day I still think about. One was with O'Shea, his work ethic and his willingness to compete. He competed at everything, and he wanted to be the best at everything he did. So being behind him and watching that and how he went at it with the receivers and 1-on-1s and 7-on-7 every day, and his adaptability. We had him. He All-American at safety, and then the next year, his senior year, he played corner for us most of the year, and he had never played corner before. So just him being able to adapt and be that piece, that chess piece that we need, and can put anywhere on the defense and be useful. That stuck with me, and I was like, I want to be like that. Like, I want to be that guy that coaches look at and be like, yeah, he can play safety, he can play nickel, he can play corner, whatever the case may be. Like, whatever we ask him to do, he can do it. And that was one of the things I admired about O'Shea. And Jakari as well, his work ethic was insane. But the thing that I noticed most about him was just his understanding of the game. He was a very smart, technical player. And I try to remember that as often as I can, his understanding of route concepts and all that, and his patience. He's not slow, but he's not the fastest guy on the field ever at the same time. So, and that's kind of like me too. Like, I'm not slow, but I don't have blazing speed. So he was kind of somebody I looked at that was like similar to me in that way. And I just learned patience, technique, and stuff like that can overcome speed barriers sometimes. So I definitely still to this day think about things that they've showed me and that we've worked on together in the past.
And I have to ask other people this question now. Against Northeastern State, you all scored 82 points. Now, you played in a lot of football games. Have you ever been a part of a team that scored 82 points in a single game?
No, we scored 70 in high school. I never scored 80 though.
Now, I was told that the halftime speech or locker room wasn't what you would suggest for a team that was up by 28 points. Now, what do you what do you remember about that halftime? Or were you sitting there thinking like, man, we're up by 4 touchdowns?
Yeah, okay. So I don't, man. My memory is terrible. The guys will tell you that too. I can't even tell you what I ate for breakfast yesterday. So I don't remember what was said in the speech, but I remember things that happened during the game. So in the first quarter, our corners, they were going through it that week. In practice, we were having mess ups and loafs. We called them NOS and stuff when you're not finishing the plays and things like that. So we were having a lot of issues that week, and we had a lot of stuff going on the field. Players getting cussed out, cussing back at the coaches and stuff. it was a lot going on. So I knew no matter, we could have beat them by 300. I knew it wasn't gonna be too good. But hey, we kept the cup. So
now 2020 happened for you. It's like just as you get back on the field, you're kind of forced off not only the field but then the wrestling mat as well. So what was that experience like having both now taken away from you?
Man, it hurt. I feel like I had worked so hard to put myself in the position that I am, and I felt like everything was just going right, and I was supposed to be, I had I feel like I had earned my stripes a little bit on the football team. People knew me as a physical player, somebody that was going to compete and go make plays for the team, and I felt like I was going to step into playing a bigger role for the defense the following year, and then my 2019 wrestling season, I missed going to nationals by 1 point. I was wrestling against Josh Jones from McKendree. Lost to him 4-3. He was number 2 ranked in the country at the time. He got beat on the other side of the bracket. We weren't even supposed to wrestle each other. He lost the match. He should have won. And I would have faced the guy that I had beat 4 times that year. But he ended up losing. We had a crazy match. I lost 10 seconds left, 4-3. I didn't get to go. So that was burning. And they canceled nationals that year too, so nobody got to compete. But just not like, feeling like there's guys that made it through that I'm 10 times better than, and I got to sit back and we don't even know how that would have played out. And then we go into 2020 COVID year and everything like that, and there's just no competition. It's just it ate at me a little bit. Just like, dang, I got to wait a whole nother year, like just to show that I was supposed to be here.
And what would you say was probably the biggest lesson that you learned from that whole experience?
Enjoy the moments you got. When things don't happen, everybody talks about, well, next year I'm going to do this, next year I'm going to do that, next season this, next season that. We didn't get a next season. So all those what ifs, it was like that 2020 season, we was going to see who really loves it, who really is going to do what they say they're going to do, because you're not going to get to show any of the progress you made until the next year. So just enjoying everything, because you never know if or when you're going to have another opportunity to do something. That could have been my last year or whatever the case may be. People can end up not competing again after that. So you just got to enjoy the moments and everything like that.
And then 2021 comes. First of all, you have the Southern Nazarene ring scrimmage. Now, I've been told that a lot of your Oklahoma teammates took that scrimmage very seriously. There was some pride on the line there. But for you, like how good was it to put the pads back on And how do you feel like you did in that scrimmage?
This spring?
Yes, the St. Nazarene scrimmage.
Oh yeah. I mean, it felt good. It felt like I had been through it before. I had missed time. I wasn't able to get on the field. Wasn't able to compete. We went through a whole season of just practicing basically, and then we get new coaches having to learn schemes and stuff. So I felt good being able to show that I could be an adaptable player. We learned a brand new scheme, and I felt like it was clicking for me. I felt like I was playing fast, playing smart. We got to the scrimmage, and it was just at that point it had been, so long since we got to do anything. I was just having fun, and I felt like our spring game got cut short, so I was disappointed about that. But I don't know. I feel like the plays that I was out there, I executed my job and made a couple plays when they came my way. But yeah, overall, it was good. It was fun.
Now, I've been waiting a long time to ask this question because in 2019, like we touched on, you were a special teamer.
Yeah.
2021 comes, and at times you were like the best defensive back on the field. So I've been waiting a long time to ask you this question. What happened between 2019 and last season? Because there's a major jump. A lot of guys don't go from special teamer to you literally making impact plays fairly often. So what was the big leap that you took in order to have that success you had last year?
Work. That's it. I mean, my teammates will tell you too. I work every day. I do something, whether it's for one sport or another, or there's really no days off unless my body just really needs to recover. But there's a group of us that for the last 2 years, 3 years, we hit the field almost every single day, whether it's just 15, 20 minutes doing ladder footwork. We do positional drills. We do one-on-ones, releases. We were just in the sand pit the other day, so it's just work. Like you can't get better if you're not working. So just watching. I studied a lot, learned the position as much as I could, and I just worked. And I feel like the only thing that really helped elevate my game was I just wanted it. Like I wanted to show that I can play a lot better than I feel. I even feel like last season I didn't play like I should have, like I could have. So just work. That's all I can say.
Now, there were a few plays that stood out to me. The first one, your interception against Northeastern State. Now, that was like right by the sideline, and the angle they had on the MIAA network, you couldn't really get the angle for it. I actually didn't know that you made the pick. So, like, walk me through that and how you were able to make the pick and make sure you got a foot down in bounds, being so close to the sideline.
Yeah. Okay. So, I was covering. I don't know his name. Number 5. He's a quick, twitchy receiver, and I don't remember exactly what route he did, but I covered the initial route, and I don't think he was supposed to be the one that got the ball anyway. But whatever he initially did, I had covered it, and I had got burned earlier in the year playing against Northwest Missouri State on like a stalk and go route. So he stopped running his route after a minute, and we had worked every practice, especially with me. I get a little too antsy trying to go make a play. So we worked sticking with our man, eyes on him, put your hands on him, and just don't leave him. So that's what I did. He stopped his route. I grabbed him and just sat there for a minute, looked at him. He didn't look like he was going anywhere. I turned my head. The quarterback's rolling out. I didn't think he was going to throw it because the receiver was not like you can see, I have it on the huddle film too. He's not moving. He's just standing there. So I didn't think he was going to throw it. And I see him wind up and throw. So I'm like, oh, he actually throwing this. So I just start running. And then, I got the best hands on defense. Shout out Raekwon Wicks, you know what I'm saying? So I ran, dove. I really wasn't even thinking about my feet. I just wanted to get to the ball because it was such a low throw. It was just an awkward angle. I didn't know if I was going to be able to make the catch or not just because of how it was coming in. but I just dove for it, and I guess my legs was down, feet was down, something like that, and got my hand under the ball, came up, and they called it a catch. So
that it's funny that you mentioned having the best hands. I asked Mosley this because you don't get a chance often to make a play on the ball. So now, if a DB drops an interception, like is that something that they're gonna that would never be let down? Like you all are gonna rag on that person like that was your chance to prove DBs do have hands, or like is
yeah,
that something that like over time it wouldn't be forgotten about, but you would kind of lay off, or is it just like nah, man, like you had your chance and you blew it?
yeah. Well, people think defense we can't catch anyway, so maybe to other people outside looking in on our position group, if we drop one, they're not like it's really a big deal. But we take pride in being able to come up with interceptions when the ball touches our hands. We just like receivers in our minds. Like if it touch our hand, we should make the play. We don't like missing those opportunities. So when we are at practice or getting extra work in, we drop the ball. Is 10 push-ups, sometimes 20. We might do sprints for dropping balls. It just depends. Like we want to get turnovers and stuff. But yeah, as far as J-Mo, yeah, he can't catch.
Wait, no, but he did have that like nice falling back pick against Kearney. Now that has to count for something now.
Yeah, and we were on the sideline going crazy because we did not think he was gonna catch it. But man, no, that was a great play though. We were excited when he caught that one.
Okay, now I'm curious now. So who did now? Because now you said you had the best hands of the DBs.
Best
So
hand,
did who would have the worst?
Mosley. Terrible.
Oh man.
Yeah, no question. I don't even have to think about that.
That's brutal. Man.
He knows, hey, I love you, boy, but you can't catch.
Oh, that's rough. That's rough. Now the other play you had is Central Missouri. Now that fumble when I talked to Kobe, he didn't even know what was going on in the play. And I think you were there, like the ball kind of flew to you, if I'm not mistaken, and then you almost scored. So, like, walk me through that. Like, did you see the ball? Like, how did that play develop?
Yeah, that's the craziest thing because I remember running up to the play, being right in front of there, and I always like to get somewhere around where the tackle's being made, even if I'm not in on the play. I at least want to be right there because if he happened to get away or anything like that, I could be there to help make the play. But I'm coming across, and I don't even remember how, like, it was like it just kind of happened. Like, it was just so fast. The ball was in the air. I look up and grab it, and I don't remember ever, like, really seeing the ball. I just remember, like, a streak going up. I just threw my hands up and grabbed it. So, like, the actual ball coming out and me grabbing it, I don't exactly remember how that happened, but I remember the run. Man, I could not. I was so slow on that. We were just talking about this play like yesterday. It does not look good. I got the ball in my head. I'm moving. I thought I was a running back, and yeah, I really ain't go nowhere. So I need that one back.
Well, I mean, okay, but not like because you did have to. I think you had to break a tackle. Then you had to try to make like a juke, and I think after you made that cut, someone got you from behind. Now, is that something like did you get flack for not scoring on that?
No, it was such a big moment in that game. Like it was so close. I believe we were inside of 2 minutes or something like that, or right around the 2 minute mark, and the game was real tight. So, no, they weren't really too worried about me scoring because I mean I got the ball inside the 5 and put the ball in our offense's hands, and at that point we were pretty confident with what we thought the outcome of the game would be. So nobody really said anything about that until like this year. Like we watching it, re looking at things, and we're like, man, like I was not moving that fast, and and look, okay, I'm not gonna put it all on me. it was two people on that play that you could see not blocking nobody. They just celebrating, and I'm right next to them. I'm not gonna call their names out. They know who they are, but they didn't block for me at all, and I got pulled down. I should have scored, but hey, it was fun though.
No, what you say now? What you say that if you just got one block, that would have been a touchdown?
Yes, one block. The one that, because I had made I think it was a quarterback. He actually one of our coaches now. I had made him miss. I hit him. If he watching this too, he know what I did. I hit look. You know what I'm saying? He went flying, and then it was maybe like a running back or a receiver or something. If they would have just blocked him, that was the one that wrapped my legs up. I would have been able to get away from the other dude. But yeah, I just needed that one. But they were. I can't blame them too much. They were excited, but damn, block. You know what I'm saying?
And do you ever like remind Coach Tweethouse, like, hey, you remember that your final game when I juked you out? Like, did you ever bring that up to him?
Nope. You wanna know why?
Why?
Because I'm the one that gave up the touchdown that lost this game, so I can't really say nothing to him. I'm every play I made is canceled out because he gonna say I threw that touchdown on you, and I'm not giving him the chance to tell me that because I might, you know what I'm saying? We might need some new coaches after that. We're gonna get him out of here. No, yeah, it was a tough game. It was a close game. It was a good one. A lot of plays made both ways, and Coach Tweethouse, he was playing good that game. So we haven't really talked about it too much, but I might have to go see if I can test his knowledge and see if he knows who was who.
Trying to pawn it off on somebody else, like,
yeah,
nah, you remember that was cool.
Yeah, I'm just that wasn't my responsibility.
Yeah. Now, when you look back on last season for you, how do you feel like you did? Did it live up to what you were expecting from yourself, or did you fall short of that? Did you exceed that? How do you feel like you did last season?
Honestly, last season was my performance was overall disappointing to me. I feel like I'm a lot better. Actually, I know I'm a lot better than what was put out there. It's just, now I feel like I don't use not playing football for so long as an excuse, but it definitely has its disadvantages in terms of technique and just game speed and things like that. And that was my first real action playing defense. And coming out of high school, I didn't know how to play defensive back. I was a safety, but I got to do pretty much whatever I wanted. I could play down in the box if I wanted to. I could drop back. I could play. I never really played man. It was just my job was go make a play. So I didn't learn how to cover people until I got to UCO. So I'm not really understanding that. And with the defense we ran last year, we ran a real high percentage of man coverage. So I feel like I was disappointed because I can and definitely will do a lot better than what last season showed. I know I made some plays here and there, but yeah, overall I wasn't really satisfied how things went down. I feel like I could have played a lot bigger role, made a lot more plays.
And then at some point, Coach Bobek, he steps down. Coach Doyle and his staff come in. So, like, what was your first impression of Coach Doyle?
It was different. He's very laid back. I love our coaching staff. They give players the opportunity to be themselves and express themselves within the sport that we love to play. Like, sometimes coaches can have you so in uniform where you really can't tell the difference between your players and who's what. It's always yes sir, no sir, and things like that. But like Doyle's real. He's real chill. We laugh, joke around. When it's time to work, it's time to work. But I definitely we did some team bonding stuff over summer workouts in June. We had like dodgeball, kickball, things like that. We went. I just blanked, but yeah, we did a lot more team activities and stuff. So I like the coaching staff and what they are doing so far.
And now with Coach Lechtenberg, you're in your third defense and as many years now. Like, how is that going, and how has it been learning new schemes, new terminology almost every year?
I love it. I love it. It's like, I mean, it definitely has its disadvantages because as soon as you start to get comfortable in one scheme and then you have to learn something else, it knowledge of the game definitely either improves or decreases your speed of play and your ability to be wherever you need to be on the field. Um, that's probably the only disadvantage to learning a new scheme, I would say, is you got to take some time to understand what's going on and get the bigger picture. That's something Lek talks about a lot, is understanding the bigger picture and what's going on around you. But an advantage of that, for me, I look at it as a learning opportunity. Like I said, I love to learn football. I watch it every chance I get. I watch an NFL game and see if I can break down the coverages and schemes that they're trying to run and stuff like that. And that was something I never really looked at before. But playing in under three different D coordinators that have totally different defensive concepts, it just shows me how diverse the game can be. And I mean, you got your simple stuff like cover 2, cover 3, man, stuff like that. You just switch a couple words around and it's all the same. But some concepts, like last year, we ran a 2 high look with our safeties. This year, we got a 3 high look, and that's something I had never seen before. So, or something I never really studied or paid attention to. So it's cool to me being able to learn from different people and just gather a wider knowledge of football.
And during the spring, did you feel like you were able to get a grasp on it, and just throughout the spring, do you feel like you kind of got stronger in some of the areas that you felt like you needed to work on?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, to both of those. I felt like I caught on quick with what we were doing because I was with wrestling up until March, so I came right at the beginning of spring ball and had to learn everything real fast. I feel like I caught on quick enough, showed that I can make some plays and things like that to our new coaching staff. So yeah, it was. I feel like everything was clicking. It was good, and yeah, here go that memory. You're gonna have to remind me what the second question was.
I think you actually touched on it because you mentioned that you were able to learn the. Well, I guess it was. Were you able to improve on some of the areas that you thought you needed to work on?
Oh yeah, okay. Um, in the spring, not necessarily. Man coverage has been one of my weaker spots, which has some plays where I made good plays in man coverage in the spring and some where I didn't do as well as I should have. Definitely at the point I'm at right now, that's been the main focus of my summer workouts, has been improving my man coverage because I feel like I'm solid in zone. I'm solid in the run game, tackling, all that is fine. The weakest point of my game is man-to-man coverage. So that's been my focal point for summer work. So I feel like right now I've definitely put in a lot of work and improved on my weakness in that area. But as far as coming into the spring, it wasn't really much of an improvement from the previous season.
And how are you going about working on your man coverage?
I watch a lot of videos. Um, Follow Instagram pages like Footwork King and other guys that are DB trainers that work with NFL guys. Or I watch, one-on-one clips from spring games or NFL film if I can find it anywhere, and just um, focusing on their technique, their footwork, hand placement, their level, their pad level when they're running and stuff like that, making their cuts. Where they're looking, like points on like hip, shoulder, eyes, the progressions throughout the routes and things like that. And then that's just the mental side of things. And then you got to get on the field. There's no way to fix it if you're not out there working out. So we'll go out there. Some of the DBs will go out and we'll get some work in and run releases for each other, routes, or we'll get with the receivers on days that they're running routes and go do some stuff with them. But yeah, that's really for the most part what I've been doing. to improve man coverage.
And you mentioned that you're good in run support and tackling. Now, when I talked to Coach McGuire, he mentioned that you told him, I think something along the lines of like you were the most physical tackler among that unit that he had. Now he said he didn't believe you at first because you could have been all talk, but he said
Right.
pretty quickly he learned that what you said rang true. So like, where does that physicality come from, and kind of why do you pride yourself on that so much?
Yeah. I'm not really sure if I could pinpoint where it comes from. That's always been my play style. Is I like tackling people. I like hitting people. It's just something I've always enjoyed about the game. Um, I really can't pinpoint anything about it. It's just I pride myself in it because like that's something like growing up watching Ray Lewis, Brian Dawkins, Sean Taylor, things like that. People that are out there hitting, like that's what I wanted to do. Like people feared those guys when they came to make a tackle. You can see guys that get paid millions of dollars lay down because they don't want to get hit by them. I was like, yeah, that's the kind of fear I want to put in people when I play the game. Is like every time you see me coming down here, you're like, I'm not backing away from anything. I'm coming right at you, and it's either you're gonna have to man up and hit back, or you're gonna move out my way and let me make the play. So it's just it kind of it sets a tone. Is what we like to say. Like punch them in the mouth first, and they know what kind of game it's gonna be.
Now, when football season ends, obviously you go to wrestling. So now, what is that adjustment period like? Getting your body from football conditioning, strength, and whatnot to the wrestling strength and weight and all that.
Yeah, it's definitely an adjustment. It's difficult to say the least. Um, During football season, we try to keep as much nutrition in us as possible. We're constantly eating throughout the day, lifting, things like that. I'm not worried about how much I'm eating or drinking or anything. I'm just living life, doing whatever I feel like doing. And when I get to transition into wrestling season, I got to start being more disciplined. And when you go from eating and drinking a whole lot of stuff throughout the day to now bringing it down some and working out more than you're eating and drinking, um, my body personally goes through it. Like the first month is horrible. I'm catching cramps every day in practice, and they're not like regular cramps. Like it's knotted up. You can see it from across the room. I got to stop, stretch, and I might be out for like 15, 20 minutes of practice and got to make that back up. Um, but my coaches are real good about understanding where I'm coming from and allowing me to practice and work myself back into the scheme of things. Like I don't have to come in day one and go super hard. I don't have to do the live wrestling. I don't have to I got to do the conditioning part of things, obviously, but I don't have to get in there and just hammer on myself. They let me get my body to adjust and things like that. So it's definitely difficult, but it's just something that's got to happen.
And what is, because because you mentioned conditioning. So like, what's the biggest difference between football conditioning and wrestling conditioning?
Yeah, wrestling you don't stop. Football we take breaks in between plays. You can stand up, relax your body, reset, and then you start again in short bursts. Plays aren't real long. You're only sprinting for the short amount of time. But with wrestling, you have to keep a low stance. You're constantly moving, fighting, pulling, trying to knock your opponent off balance. They're trying to move you. Like it's literally trying to impose your will on another person while they're doing the same thing to you. And it's tiring. I mean, if you ever watch like street fighting videos, people can only fight for like 30 seconds, and that's essentially what we're in there doing, other than throwing fists. Like it's high pace. Like I'm trying to, not hurt you, but show that, like, assert that dominance or whatever. And it's tiring. So that's probably the biggest difference, is being able to constantly go, go, go and not stop, and stay low. And that's, yeah, definitely a lot different.
And you all had a really good season this past year. So now, like, what would you kind of credit to that? Like, what was it just more so like hard work, or like what kind of was the key to you all's great season?
Yeah. I feel like we picked up where we left off in our last season. We were competing with, I think we finished the year before COVID hit at like sixth in the country, which we completely felt disrespected by. The only team that we had lost to was St. Cloud, who's been national champs for however many years in a row. That was our only loss, and they had us ranked sixth. So we was like, is a chip on our shoulder. We felt disrespected, and like they weren't giving us the credit we deserved. Everybody in there works real hard, so it's a mentality that we set. Like we know everybody's working towards the same goal. Every team in the country wants the same thing, but who's going to put the work in to make sure that they accomplish it? So whether we have to work out 2, 3, 4 times a day, that's what we're going to do. And that's probably the biggest difference between us and everybody else.
And for you individually, how do you feel like last season went for you?
Terrible. um, I mean, it's nothing else I can say. I fell short of what I was supposed to do. Can't take credit away from anybody. I have my own, you know, views and feelings about how things went down and what I feel should have happened and whatever else the case may be. But at the end of the day, it just didn't work out the way that I wanted it to, and that's the bottom line.
So now, heading into this season, how do you go about rectifying that?
For wrestling,
Yes.
I actually don't know if I'm gonna have a season for wrestling. Right now, we kind of. I've been in. I'm old. I'm one of the old heads here. So, uh, I only have fall semester left of eligibility, is what I've been told. So we're in the process of finding out if I'm gonna be able to be granted an extra semester so I can compete at nationals and all that. It's a whole bunch of stuff. I don't really understand the terms and what's going on with that, but right now we're not 100% positive if I'll be able to compete this year.
So knowing now that your eligibility is running out, does this kind of like shift the urgency for you to make the most out of whatever time you have left?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're in scramble mode now. This is my last opportunity to do anything with athletics. If I want to continue past this point, with football, with mainly with football, with wrestling, I've been competing at senior level since I was 18 years old. So outside of collegiate, I'm fine to continue wrestling whenever and wherever I want. Um, but as far as my collegiate goals, yeah, it's this. I mean, I got one season left for each of them, so it's either I do it and have something to show for it, or it's just, in my eyes, a wasted opportunity.
And what are those goals that you want to try to reach?
Um, for football, we have, obviously everybody wants a national championship. That's if that's not what you're looking for, you got no business playing sports at this level. So as a team, we got to get to the top of our conference first. Win our conference definitely, and then go compete for a national championship. Individually, I won an All-American this year, and that's really the only thing I'm focused on individual wise is making sure everything I'm doing is technically sound and there's no major flaws in my game and just be around enough plays to put myself in that All-American conversation. And then with wrestling is national championship both ways. Um, we were real close to winning it last year as a team, and there's a number of guys that have won national championships or made the finals or All-American that I've competed against and beat and things like that. So just, people here on my team and in our conference and region, they know, but around, I feel like I don't get the respect I deserve nationally in wrestling, and that's my fault. I haven't done the things that I'm supposed to do. But this is the last shot to do that.
Well, before I get you out of here, we do this with all the new guests, kind of some get to know you type questions. So, you're from Milwaukee, so I'm gonna assume I know the answer to this question, but your favorite sports team?
With just sports in general, or you want me to run through each one? Because you already know all the answers.
Now, I know you had to be happy when the Bucks finally won the NBA championship. Now, I must say, as a Brooklyn Nets fan, the foot on the line will just forever be a dark moment in the franchise because it's like I'm glad you won it all because it makes the loss look a lot better. Like, well, we did lose to the team that won the championship, and you did have Brooke Lopez, who spent a lot of time in Brooklyn, but I just that foot on the line, man. Like,
man, hey, I feel for you, but I'm not sorry at all. I was at work going crazy. I actually had I work up at Top Golf, so I had a bay full of Thunder players during the finals, and I actually was talking to them like, I bet y'all we win it, and they were saying, no, you guys not gonna win, blah blah, all this and that. As soon as we won, I took my lap around the venue. I went bay to bay to everybody that told me we wasn't gonna win, and they heard it from me for a whole week. I'm saying I got videos of it too, Bucks and 6 running around everything. But yeah, that was a great moment. But yeah, Bucks all the way, Packers, Badgers, all that, Brewers, Admirals, if you know about Admirals hockey, everything, all Wisconsin, everything.
Now, I don't know if you know, but your teammate Dante McGee is also a Packers fan. Now, I know he has been frustrated by the lack of help the franchise has given Aaron Rodgers. We went to another draft, but there was not a first-round receiver. Now, do you feel like there's enough weapons around Rodgers to have another successful season?
It's tough to say because you never really know. Because I mean, you can look at guys like Adam Thielen, and he wasn't a first-round draft pick, but he's one of the best receivers Minnesota has on their roster. So, I don't really think. I mean, Rodgers is the kind of guy that if you're around him, he's gonna make you better. So I'm not. Offense was never really my concern with the team. It was more defensively that during our years where we went like 15-1, or when we were competing at the top of our conference and then losing the teams we should have beat, it was always because we had an iffy secondary was the biggest problem that I had with the team. But right now they got preseason polls. They got the Packers defense ranked number 1. So coming into the season, I'm not really too worried about the offense because he's gonna put the ball where it needs to be, and they're getting paid money to make plays. So if they can't do that, we shouldn't have drafted them in the first place. Whether it was first round or 5th round, 6th round, it doesn't matter. I'm not really too concerned about that. We win the Super Bowl, so you know what I'm saying. All that.
And now, let's see. All right, now. I know that the Bucks had an early exit this past season. Now, the question: do you think they can get back to the finals next year?
Oh yeah, I've been, man. Oh man, you done got me started. We would have won if Middleton was healthy. He's good for another at least 20 points. We would have beat the mess out of everybody except maybe Golden State. They would have gave us a run for it, but we would have beat them. I swear to God, we would have. But yeah, we gonna see. We'll be back, top of the conference, absolutely. We winning it. We'll never lose to the Heat again. I hate them, and
Yeah. See. Okay. Your favorite hobby outside of football and wrestling.
Oh, okay. I was just
yeah, I wasn't gonna give you the cop out there.
You got me. All right. Let's see. favorite hobby right now would probably be music. I like to write music, listen to music, things like that. You know, I'm really into that. So I'll probably say that.
Okay, now they mentioned now that you write music. So like,
Yeah.
what kind, like rap, R&B? What kind do you write?
Oh yeah, rap. No, I can't sing. if I if I could, we would have opened it up with me hitting a little note or something. But I can't do none of that.
Wait, so now, like, what is it about writing music though that you enjoy? Is it like just the creativity aspect of it? Like, what is it about?
Yeah, I like the it's like mental gymnastics almost. Like you listening to certain artists, you gotta kind of understand a lot of things that are going on with like the world, or like word play and things like that. Like I like punchlines is my favorite thing to listen to write. If you like hip hop music, listen to No Cap. He's got some of the hardest punchlines I've ever heard. Every bar you hear from him, you gotta be like, you gotta really listen and be like, oh, that's what he's talking about. So I like seeing if I could, I don't want to say duplicate, but I like seeing if I can do kind of the same things like that. Like my style is a little different than his, but in terms of wordplay, punchlines, that's definitely the thing that interests me most in writing music.
Now, do you ever like share your raps with teammates? Like, you ever like rap for them when you're kind of around them? And if you do they kind of vibe to it?
Yeah, they play my song in the locker room. I got, yeah. I haven't. I just write it. I'll record it sometimes. I haven't released any music or anything like that. But there's a couple songs that I got that a couple of my teammates have, and they'll play it in the locker room sometimes. So yeah, they're definitely supportive. They like it. At least that's what they tell me. Maybe they just trying to support me and all that, but they play it like they like it.
Okay. Now, I've also been told by Noah Dobson, the
Mm-hmm.
auxiliary cord in that locker room can be very brutal. Now,
Yeah.
they will yank the cord out of the phone if the music is not to the liking of the room. Now, have you ever had that experience where maybe you were on the aux and they've taken your phone off the aux?
No, never. Um, but I don't know. I don't really play music in the locker room that much, just because it is like that. Not that I care necessarily about them being like, we don't listen to that, because that's the music I listen to. I really don't care what you listen to. But if we're in the locker room, there's so many different people in there that the music styles are way different. So we try to have a variety of music. So whoever gets on there, Rob, he man, I call him Fuentes. I know Fuentes, Rob Fuentes, man. He gets on the aux. He's got such a wide range of music. He's usually one that plays everything, and it's all good. But no, yeah, I've never had my phone pulled off of there.
Now, what I was also told by Noah, he tried to play a Justin Bieber song. Now, I don't know why he tried that. I don't. I mean, I know. Now, yeah, if it came to like a risky song you think might get you yanked, would you just say, you know what, I'm gonna go for it, or would you just play it safe and not play the song at all?
It depends. I mean, like I said before, I'm real goofy, so I might do it on purpose and stare at people and see how they react. Like I might put it on and be like, yeah, what you gonna do about it? Like, you know, I can't really think of what song I would put on. I wouldn't put no Justin Bieber on, but um. maybe some K Michelle. I rock with K Michelle. I don't think they'll like that in the locker room, but I'll put it on and get to singing.
Well, I don't know because according to your teammate Jalik Lewis, he's a big R&B guy. Now I will say your position coach, Coach McGuire, is also an R&B guy. Now he doesn't think that Jalik's an R&B guy because his favorite artist is Mary J. Blige, but
Oh Lord.
uh, but and I think Peyton is also like an old school lover.
Um.
So you know that kind of might work
Yeah.
for you. Now, what I also been told is that Jace Gardner is the worst on the ox. Now, would that be a true statement?
See, I actually don't know that because he's never been on the aux. At least not to my knowledge. I didn't know that it was him on the aux. So I know offense and defense live separately. So he's never played music with me in there. And in the locker room, we is usually the same couple people that get on, and That's it. The one person I will say that gets kicked off every single time is Hunter Largent. Gets kicked off every time. He's not touching the aux. Terrible. But that's I don't know about Jace Gardner though.
So what is Hunter playing that gets him yanked every time though?
I don't even know. It's like we might not even let the song go. It might just hit. We hear the beat. And we're like, bro, get off. What are you doing? He just, man. He gonna get on me when he see this too for saying that. He gonna press me about that one.
I mean, that's wow, every time. That's brutal. Man.
Every time. Every time.
Let's see now. Who currently would you say is your favorite rapper?
I got a couple different. Okay, so I'll break it down into like different areas of things. My favorite overall rapper ever. People not going. I'm not saying he's the best ever. This is just my personal favorite. Meek Mill. I love Meek Mill. That's my favorite rapper of all time. Right now, my favorite artist is No Cap. And then I like Detroit music too. So my favorite out of there is a dude called Cash Kid. So I got a couple different people that are my top in different categories.
Okay. And do you have a favorite Meek Mill song?
Nah, not really. I like Expensive Pain. His newer stuff. I just like when he dropped music, honestly. Just whenever. I listen to everything he put out. So I don't really have a favorite.
Okay. Now, I asked this to everybody that's come on ever since Jace came on. And he kind of backtracked some, but I gotta ask, is it old Lil Wayne or new Lil Wayne?
Oh, that's not old Lil Wayne. What? Stunned like my daddy. What? Come on. Man.
And see, now I asked that because I asked him the question and he said what you said, but then immediately after that, he tried to defend the new Lil Wayne. Now, no one asked him to defend the new Lil Wayne. And so ever since that time, I've been asking, and he's the only person that has somewhat said old Lil Wayne is at least on the same field as, new Lil Wayne is on the same field as old Lil Wayne.
Everybody else say old Lil Wayne is better.
Old Lil Wayne is better, like hands down. I've asked everybody that's come on, players, coaches, everybody. So I think he's kind of in that lone, thing. But I was told there might be a little bit of like an intervention there at some point, where they all sit him down and try to, get him to understand that no, that's not the case.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I want to switch you on that you were on that camp. Let's see. Okay, you're now. Do you video game at all?
No, not really. I mean, I have a system, but I'm a broke college student, so I ain't got no Wi-Fi.
Now, are we team Xbox or team PlayStation?
PlayStation for sure. If I gotta pick one, PlayStation.
Dang. So the only Xbox guys is Coach Curley and Coach Doyle.
It makes sense.
Wait a minute, you said that makes sense.
It makes sense.
Wait a minute, why do you say that for now?
Cause they're my dogs, but they the ones I'm trash talking every time we go against the offense. It's Curly and Doyle, and that's just because they weird.
Oh man. Okay, let's see. Your favorite food?
Either tacos or seafood. Okay. I like seafood boils and I like taco trucks.
Now, are we a soft shell or a hard shell guy?
See, that's how I know you don't go to taco trucks because they ain't even got them options. Neither. Corn tortillas, man. Corn tortillas.
Okay.
And not the hard ones, for the ones, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Taco truck tacos with the corn tortillas every time.
Okay. Let's see. Now, I've been told by Kobe Stevens and Peyton Scott now, you and Mosley are the gold standard when it comes to gear. Now I'm going to open the floor to you here, Dan. Why are you so heavy into the gear, and what kind of is the equipment accessories that you normally use?
Yeah, well, see, I didn't know that. They like to tell me I'm not the drippiest, so I'm gonna have to let them know that they acknowledge it. But I don't really know. Like, I just kind of throw things together and mix. I really only do like I got my just regular tights, leg sleeves, arm sleeves, bands, and that's really I just alternate how I wear them. I don't really think I do nothing too crazy. It's just simple stuff, but it works.
Now, Peyton questioned as to why you wear the bands because the Peyton, you have the tattoos, and he feels like you would want that to be seen. So now, why do you wear the bands?
Because we play on turf. I paid a lot of money for these tattoos. Look, I'm gonna show you something right here. You see that dark spot right there? Wait, hold on. I can't even get in the camera. That dark spot right there?
Yes, sir.
That's turf burn. And it just so happens I don't have any tattoos right there. That happened, I put it on every time. I'm not finna I paid way too much money to be losing ink.
Now, and you do have quite a bit of ink. So, like, now, what does that love of tattoos come from, and how do you kind of pick and choose where you want to get the tattoo at, and what the tattoo is of?
Yeah. I really don't know. I've always been interested in tattoos. Like ever since a kid, my mom would tell you herself. Since I was 11, I've been drawing things and saying I'm gonna get it tattooed. And I've been told her since I was little that I was gonna get my first one when I turned 16, and just kept getting them and never looked back. I'm not really too sure like where or why that came about, but I just loved them for the first time I seen them and decided that's what I wanted to get. But when it comes to deciding what and where, it depends. Like I have some tattoos that are like really thought out and have like, everybody got their own meanings for the things they get. I got something that's real deep in meaning like that, and I got some impulsive stuff. It just depends on how I'm feeling, what I'm doing, and what I want it to be.
So, what was the first tattoo?
I have a cross and a rosary on my shoulder blade.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, I got that was my first one.
okay. Let's see. And do you have any pregame routines that you normally do?
Um, no, not really. I just whatever it is, I gotta make sure I listen to music before we go out. I can't listen to I can't listen to the clean version of any song. That'll really irritate me before we go out. I gotta have some hype music. I gotta get ready to go be physical. I can't listen to no soft mellow stuff. I can't listen to no bleeps in my songs. I need to say you know what I'm saying? Every word they got in there, I need to hear it. But that's really it. If I got some good music on, I'll be ready to go.
Now, is it like a set playlist of songs, or do you kind of mix it up?
No, I definitely mix them. It's different every year because I mean, artists drop new songs every day, so it just depends on what I'm on at that time. So the songs that I was listening to before I went out to the games last season, they're not gonna be the same as the ones that I listened to this year. It's just however I'm feeling and whatever I'm listening to at the time is gonna be what I play.
Okay. Okay. I guess my final question for you would be: do you have a message to those who might still be on the fence about coming to give you all a chance this season, about what they can expect if they come see you all play?
About who being on the fence?
About like if some people are kind of wishy-washy about coming to see you all play this year, what can they expect to see if they were to come to a UCO football game?
Oh yeah, all I can say is just watch. If you don't want to know, you're gonna hear about it. We've been we've been working, and people been doubting us year after year. things like that. And just like, I mean, I hear it all the time when people ask me where I play at, and they ask our record. We went 4-7 last year. But if you look at 6 of those 7 losses, we lost by a touchdown or less in all of those. There's only one game that we weren't really very competitive in towards the end of the game. So that 4-7 record is real misleading. And with what we got schemed up this year, just I would say don't be surprised. And if you're not going to come to the first couple games after you see what we do, he'll be there.
Okay. Well, Tre'Vaughn, I appreciate you taking time this afternoon to come on and talk to me. Learned a great deal about you that I wasn't aware of there, and so I'm wishing you the best of luck. Rest of summer, heading into fall camp, and I hope you have a good season. And if ever you want to come back on, you're more than welcome to.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you for having me, man. It was good talking with you.